welcome to Pavement Road Productions 2022 NHL Playoff Preview. I'm your host, Yo Grabba Gabba. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. We have more sports stuff coming out soon. We have our reality TV stuff coming out. We have news and politics stuff coming out. So subscribe so you don't miss anything. Get all the updates in your feed. This is our 2022 NHL Playoff Preview. And I'm going to bring my co-host here, Jessica, as well. We'll talk all about it and give our predictions of who we have winning. We've been so far off on everything we've predicted so far. Might as well throw some more out there for you. So take this with as many grains of salt as humanly possible because we always do terrible with this. But we'll go ahead and dive in and give you what we think so far for the 2022 preview, NHL Playoff Preview. We've been wanting to do this for a few years. It's been such a weird few years with the way the hockey seasons have gone and even the baseball and football and all that stuff. So we're going to try to get out as much as we can. Hopefully we're somewhat with some normal stuff going on and we can have normal, instead of wacky playoffs and wacky, this and that and shortened seasons and everything else, hopefully we can have some somewhat normal stuff and, give some predictions that are somewhat based in some sort of, cohesion, so we can, at least give you something that makes somewhat of some sort of sense as we go in here. So let's go ahead and bring in Jessica here. Jessica, hello. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm fine. Bonjour.
Yes, welcome to the French Canadians out there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, my people.
Exactly, your people. So let's go ahead and start off, Jessica. What was the reason behind wanting to do this? I mean, what do you want to say?
For me, I guess I've always loved hockey and been a huge hockey fan. And, for a little bit, though, didn't watch it too much. And now finally getting back into everything and just, wanting to be right again is my biggest thing.
Yeah, exactly. Want everything in the world be normal, so we just do what we want to do. Yeah. Which has been, this is something we've been talking about doing for a while, and it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, we can do a season preview, everything like that, but this is fun. One of the best times of the year is the hockey playoffs. It's summer, it's nice, and it's the hockey playoffs are always intense and fun, and
just not great when our team isn't in it.
Right, but
still entertaining. And
let me go on a limb right now. The Buffalo Sabres will be in the playoffs next year, and I'm calling my shot. They're winning a round.
I can see it.
They're going to the Elite Eight next year. So I'm calling that right now. But we won't be talking about the Sabres right now. Both big Sabres fans. Obviously, we've been I've been a hockey fan my whole life, and then obviously I moved away from Western New York to a area that didn't really care about hockey, and so I didn't have a few years I didn't really care. Then I came back. My team was terrible, so I'm like, well, it's hard to get back into it, but. We both think they've turned a corner and they're going to be good next year. Right?
No, I kind of stopped watching it once we got together because you didn't watch it. So technically, you made me stop watching hockey, and that was my number one sport.
I apologize.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, well, hopefully, our team are going to be good next year. We can go into all that, but this should be fun. We're just going to look at the bracket here, talk about who we think is going to win and why. Go through each round, and then you take those predictions in the next round. Full disclosure: we've seen about one game from each round so far. We're starting a little bit, we're starting a little bit later than we wanted to with Jessica being sick and then me having other things I had to do. We couldn't really get this completely in there, but we've seen about a game or so from each round, so we know a little bit about what happened, but it's pretty much a, blank slate start at the beginning of the playoffs, in guesses.
Yeah, like I said to you earlier when we were kind of talking about stuff is my picks, I guess, don't completely go along with just this year because some of it is my bias from past years of how the teams have been overall. So it's like some I see in the playoffs and I'm like, how the heck did they make it here? Because they're so terrible. But in essence, they're really not as terrible. I'm just mostly going to recognize them as being not great.
Yeah, and we haven't watched a ton of hockey this year, so that's part of it.
No, I can't call most of it because I haven't watched enough of everybody else.
Right, and also there seems that there's the reputation precedes them a little bit, right? Like,
well, yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Right, it's like the team they haven't been good in 20 years. Now all of a sudden they're one of the top teams in the league. We're like, yeah, but are they?
BS, they are. Yeah, right.
Exactly. So in the playoffs, I
think they're good.
Right, and the playoffs are a little weird too because they do the way they do it. They do it since they had the Kraken, I guess, came in, and even with Vegas, they started having the top three teams of each division win their division. Then there's two wild cards. So the lowest wild card plays the number one team overall in that conference, and the second wild card plays the number 2 ranked team overall in the conference. So it's like basically 2 division winners. The highest division winner plays the lowest wild card team. Second highest division winner plays the second highest wild card team, and so on.
So that's similar to football in a way.
It's similar, yeah, with the wild cards, except there's no buys. It's the only difference.
Yeah, no, I know. Besides the bye, it's kind of similar.
It is similar. It's similar to all the other sports. It's just a little bit different. It's a little bit weird how they do it. But and so it's when you say it's like the 1 against the 7 or the 1 against the 8, it's really not. It's more like they say it's the 1 on this division versus the WC2, and it's the 1 in this division versus the WC1. So it's a little bit wonky, but either way, I love
Daddy Wampus and such.
Indeed, Jessica. So let's talk about it here. Let's break it down. We'll get started. Let's start out west and we'll move east. So we'll start with the west. We'll start with the first round, the Colorado Avalanche versus. So that's the number 1 seed overall versus the Nashville Predators. What do we have, Jessica?
It pains me to pick it, but the Avalanche. And the only reason I say that is because I am kind of a Nashville fan, but once they get to the playoffs, they fall apart. So the Avalanche has been good the past years. So the Avalanche.
Yeah, and we talked about this too. We came with the same bracket together. We some she pushed for and we went with, some I pushed for and went with, and we kind of we came to a consensus on these. So this is our bracket together. The Avalanche, I picked them to win the cup last year, and they won the first 6 games in a row. Swept the first round, it wasn't even close. Second round, they won the first 2 games, and then basically what happened was I waited to make my official prediction until about that game, until they won the first 6 games. I'm like, yeah, they're winning the whole thing, and then they lost 4 in a row.
So you jinxed them.
Yes.
You're not allowed to do that anymore.
Right. So but I think Colorado's really, really stacked. I said we watched the first game. It was 7-2. They beat the Predators. It was like 5-0 in the first period. So just ridiculous. And they have a really amazing offense. And and Darcy Kemper is really good in net for them too. So I really like Colorado. I always have. One of the first years I watched hockey, as a child, when I was playing. I watched, it was the Panthers and Avalanche finals, cup finals, and the Avalanche was like their 5th year in existence, and they won the finals, won the cup.
Panthers made it to the finals. They baffle me. We'll talk about them later.
Yeah.
But
I think it was like 96 or 97, I think, when I watched, and it was like the Panthers, like both of the teams were within the first 10 years of existence, and the Panthers went to the cup finals and lost to Joe Sakic in the Avalanche. It was awesome. Yeah, I think Patrick Waugh was on the team too. I think
Patrick Waugh.
Yeah. So, but and I was kind of I had a soft spot in my heart for the Avalanche for sure. So we'll talk about them. They're number 1 here. They're the number 1 seed overall in the West, and they get the Predators. And I think it'll be a pretty easy road to the Predators for them.
I think so, unfortunately, but I think so.
Let's start with the 2-3 in that match in that bracket. It's the Minnesota Wild versus the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we picked this one as a consensus we did. We're a consensus, but it's still, we picked the Blues.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, the past couple years, they've been really well. They've had a pretty decent offense and everything, and over the Wild, the Blues was definitely my feeling of a prediction.
Yeah, that's funny because I actually met some people from St. Louis a few days ago.
Oh yeah.
And they were big Blues fans, and we were talking about it. And obviously, I said you're welcome from Ryan O'Reilly.
Exactly.
And they said Binnington came out of nowhere and they won the cup when he was a rookie. And he hasn't been that good since, which is a little bit disappointing for them. But they also have Vladimir Tarasenko, who's one of the top 5 players in the NHL, and then they have a really solid. In a veteran team who's been there before, so they know what they're doing, and they've had a lot of success, and I really think that coupled with the fact that Minnesota, if they ever make it out of the first round, they never make it out of the second round. So they've made the playoffs a lot in the last few years, but they just never go far once they make the playoffs. And
eventually they will, though. We've said this for years about the Caps. I said it about the Capitals for a long time. And
it's true.
Eventually it happened for them, but I don't feel it this year.
I don't feel it for the Wild this year at all, no. I think they're going to be out in the first round. I think the Blues, even though they're the 3, playing the 2. I still think they're going to take it this time and roll with it. Cool. Anything else? Want to move on?
Oh, we can move on.
All right, let's talk about the other one. I guess 1 and 7 you can call it, or the 1 and wild card 1, which is the Calgary Flames hosting the Dallas Stars.
So, as we've spoken before, not that we have any bias against this. We don't hold any grudges against the Stars. However, we did pick the Flames to move on, even though, the Canadian teams are not your favorite.
Yeah, so, I mean, if there's going to be a Canadian team that wins it, it'll be the Flames. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I will say, however, you say we don't have grudges. I most certainly do. And
I was speaking in jest, more poking at it that we do. We don't, but we do.
yes, I mean, they stole the Stanley Cup in a theft and a fraud in 2000.
Still not bitter about it, as you can tell.
Right, 99, whatever, 2000, that season, they did not deserve the Stanley Cup. They stole it. It was no goal, put in the crease, goal shouldn't have counted. So they were showing that cup.
But anyways.
But either way, it was funny, though, because the last, 3 games of the season, everybody in Buffalo was rooting for Dallas. Why? You remember?
Yeah, because they didn't want Eichel to get in because he was on Vegas.
Yeah.
Or, Vegas against Dallas getting in.
Yeah, it was going to be either Dallas or Vegas getting in. And
I would rather see Dallas than Eichel.
Right. And the Predators ended up being the 8th seed anyways. And weird how it ended up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dallas ended up jumping the Predators, and the Predators were already in before Dallas played Vegas. But yeah, Dallas won, knocked Vegas out, and so Vegas is the first time in their history 2 things have happened. First time they've ever had Jack Eichel on their team, and first time they've ever missed the playoffs.
There might be some correlation with that. I'm not sure.
But Buffalo fans suck,
maybe.
According to him. So
yeah, exactly.
Who knows? But I love the meme of the Star Wars one with him with Princess Leia and Anakin.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "I'm going to Vegas. I can make the playoffs finally, right?
Right.
Right.
To make the playoffs, right? Right. No. Yeah. No.
Exactly. Wonderful.
Nope. Yep. Anyways.
But either way, I think the Stars. Though the Flames are always a fast team. They always are, really, have a.
I mean, it's in the name. So.
Yeah, they're always on fire. But I don't see them scoring a ton of goals in this round. But
Yeah.
I still think it's going to be a blowout. I think if Dallas wins 1 game, I'll be surprised. If they win 2, they won't win 2.
No, I can see them probably winning 1 game and maybe not 2 games.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna get swept by the Flames.
I can see it, but I don't see them winning more than 1.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same way with Colorado. Maybe Nashville even has a little bit better team than Dallas. I really don't know. But either way, I said I think the Flames will roll through the first round without much sweat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about the other 2-3 matchups. These are always difficult because they're usually pretty evenly matched teams. And, one team gets in the wild card, one team, and then the 3 teams win the division. So obviously these are the teams who won the division, quote unquote. But they weren't the number 1 team in the division. So they're right next to each other in the seeding, in other words, and in the division. Sorry, Jessica's looking over a little bit of a cough here. It's okay. I'm trying to get her.
I'm trying to hold it in.
I understand. She's trying to get her feeling a little better. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the 2-3 matchup here in the West, the second 2-3 matchup, and that is whom?
Oilers versus the Kings.
Yep, and the Oilers are the higher seed.
Yep. I mean, this one, it took us a discussion to pick because I was Team Oilers and you were Team Kings, and then we came to the consensus of the Kings will be taking this one.
Yeah, and again, it's a different team that won the Cup twice in 5 years. That was right around 2015 or so. So it's a different team than those teams. But I think they won it, 11 and 13. I think they won it, LA. But so obviously it's but then 10 years.
Yeah, well.
But good. But the Oilers haven't. Again, if they make it out of the first round, that's a lot. And they have such a stacked roster with McDavid and all those first overall picks and blah blah. They still can't find their way out through the second round ever. And so I just think the Kings are. They still got Jonathan Quick, who's got tons of experience in the playoffs, and I think they just have enough veteran leadership to make it through.
Yeah, I mean, even though we picked the Kings, I don't think the Kings are going to go far either way.
No.
I think either team that was going to go through this one, I don't think we're going to make it far anyways.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. So let's just finish up the first round. We'll go over to the East, and then we'll kind of work our way back. So let's start with the top seed overall in the Eastern Conference, and that would be the Florida Panthers from Sunrise, Florida, down in Miami, versus the Washington Capitals.
So isn't it Sunrise or Sunset, Florida?
Sunrise.
Okay. Yeah. Sunrise, sunset. There's just
Sunrise, sunburn, sunset, repeat.
Exactly.
Luke Bryan?
Exactly.
All
Luke
right,
Bryan.
good.
Yep. Okay.
It's summer. We can start singing country again.
Anyways,
So
back to hockey.
yeah, back to hockey. Panthers, Capitals.
Yes.
What do you think?
So this one we kind of dabbled slightly with too, because I never want to recognize that the Panthers are good. I don't have a bad thing against them. I just will never recognize that they're good, I guess. That's one of the biases I was saying before. But the Capitals, they always usually make it out of the first round and then crap out. So with this one, we did pick the Capitals.
Yeah, so upsets start right here for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the 3-2s are upsets as well, but this one's a big one. The number one overall.
Right. And 1 against 8 to pick the 8th one is pretty big.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like in any experience I've seen in the past Stanley Cup playoffs with the Capitals there, they make it out of the first round usually most times.
Almost
so
always.
It's hard to not pick them.
Yeah, and instead, Florida's good. They went and got Claude Giroux. They got Sam Reinhart from the Sabres. They got some good players.
That's right.
Barkov is a good leader.
Yeah.
But I still can't take their goaltending seriously. Their defense is fine. But I just don't. I don't
take them seriously.
I really don't.
That's my problem. I can't. I don't know why.
I mean, they do have a good team, but like I said, I feel like whenever they get to the playoffs, they just don't.
I know.
They don't seem to ever make it. Maybe they'll be the cup champion this year.
Just seeing them in the playoffs is a shock to me, and back in the day they were in there. It's just
But yeah, and then that was they haven't really been good since they went to the cup finals.
Yeah.
And that was in '97.
Yeah.
So they really haven't been that. I mean, they were building last couple of years and getting better last couple of years, and they are a team that is a force to reckon with. Mm-hmm. I just don't know. I for some reason I don't see them going far.
They also surprise themselves when they get to the playoffs and they don't know what to do.
Yeah, maybe. Very possible. Very possible.
I don't know.
They said they had the number one record overall in the East. So
yeah.
they're the first. I think they're the first team in hockey to claim the playoff spot.
And that just baffles me. I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around it. I don't know. I'm sorry to all the Panthers fans out there.
Yeah, all 4 of you. All 4 of you.
I guess that's why though I can't take them seriously.
Well, it's
hard to take a team seriously that doesn't have a fan base that kind of supports them.
Carolina the same way, Florida Panthers the same way. Like they have it's summer in Florida. I guess you're going inside to cool off, but you're not. It's palm trees and hockey don't mix.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, Tampa's won the cup the last 2 years, but there's a lot of.
We'll talk about Tampa in a minute. I got lots to say about Tampa.
And they're right, and they are the Tampa is a lot of people from up north go down to Tampa. A lot of people, not a lot of people go to Miami. I feel like they don't move to Miami. I feel like they move to Tampa. But,
oh no, definitely 100% go to Tampa.
So
yeah.
Anyways, so that is how I feel about that. Those are the so I think the Caps could pull it off. I really do.
Yeah, no, I think the Caps can definitely get out of the first round. After that, I don't have too much confidence, but we'll talk about that after.
Let's go ahead and talk about and listen, the East. It's like pretty much everyone in the East is either bad or I hate them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're either how the hell they get in or I hate them.
Yeah. It's true. It's very true.
So let's talk about the 2-3 matchup. Speaking of teams I hate, the 2-3 matchup, Jessica. Who's it?
Leafs and Lightning.
Yeah, Leafs are the 2. Lightning are the 3, which is kind of surprising.
Leafs are the hated team in this household, in this area of where we live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lightning, Tampa Bay Lightning. So out of this one, I don't know if our bias kind of went into it too, but we picked the Lightning.
Yeah.
They've been on fire the past couple years, as all of the people that I know down in Florida now call it Champa Bay down in Tampa. It drives me crazy. And with the Lightning, different from the Panthers, like we said, Panthers don't have supporters. The Lightning, when I used to go to Florida every year, I was always going down to Tampa to visit my sister. We would get tickets for like $10, $15 in the 300 levels, but no one was there. The people that were there to see the other teams because, like you said, there's transplants down there. They want to see their teams from their hometown. Now all of a sudden, Tampa's winning Stanley Cups, and it's insane the amount of fans that they have. So I guess it's easier to take them more seriously. But if y'all keep calling yourselves Tampa Bay, we're gonna have a problem because it's getting a little annoying. But
yeah. So I want to let you go and say your piece about Tampa.
My rant about Tampa. I know lots of people down there. I love you all, but enough of the Tampa Bay. Like, I'm glad you guys won. I'm glad the Lightning won and everything, but I guess that's why it's been easier to take them seriously, recognize them as a good team because they do now have a really strong fan base down there.
Yeah.
And tickets aren't as cheap anymore.
Right, no, not at all. I remember when they won the cup in it was like 2003, I think right before the lockout or right after the lockout, I think right before the lockout maybe.
Tampa won it in 2003?
No, yeah, Tampa. It was like 2003 or 2005. It was right around the lockout. Right before they had the year they missed the whole season. I think it was like when they had Martin St. Louis, Vincent Lecavalier and all them, and they won the cup. And then when I lived down there, they were in the playoffs, and they had a deep run, and then they went to like the conference. I think they went to the cup finals, and they lost to the Blackhawks, and then the next year, they went to the conference finals, and they lost to the Penguins, who then beat the Sharks. So that was a time when I was down there, but yeah, it was back in 2003 when they first won.
2004. I
2004.
just looked it up. Yeah. I didn't think they won beforehand, before that. But, so, I don't know. I guess not to... You can finish what you're saying. No, I was saying I'm surprised that they didn't get more of a following than before that. But I guess, they won it, and then things kind of fell off for a while. So
yeah, and there's a lockout. The whole next year was canceled. So that hurts, too.
That's true.
That's hard to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
And then
all those factors, I'm sure.
Right. And all those great players, retired and whatever. And, I think it was Dave Andrewchuk from the Sabres was on that team.
Yeah.
So it was...
Once they had Ben Bishop and that whole craze was going on, like, people are going crazy down there.
For sure. Yeah. And like I said, they definitely do have a fan base. And,
yeah, they do.
And they said they've been building for the last... they were at the Cup Finals in what, 15 or 13 maybe, or whatever, 14, whatever, around that time. They went to the finals and lost, and then they went back to the conference finals and lost. But really, they have a decent fan base, and it's not like they're one of the teams from the South that actually do have supporters. Nashville does too, which is why I like them. Yeah. But like Phoenix, no. Arizona, no. Nothing. And a lot of the Southern California teams, LA. People go there because they're celebrities and they go to the games, but they don't care about hockey.
Right.
So that's kind of how I feel about those teams. But Tampa Bay. So the reason that they're biased, I think maybe want to do a little bit, but Tampa, they're going to defend their championship. They've won back to back.
Toronto's history of also getting there and messing up is just too much too.
And that's my thought, right? The biggest rivalry in sports right now is Toronto in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's not even a rivalry. It's just a one-sided slugfest. Because Toronto every year they have all this momentum. Everybody thinks it's gonna be great, and they get knocked out in the first round. So I really think that there's two strong teams here. Mm-hmm. I do think both these teams are strong. I think Toronto is strong. I think Tampa is strong. But I think whoever wins this is going to have a good shot of doing well going forward.
Yeah.
But I also think that there are there are other good teams around them, but I think whoever wins this division, whoever wins this spot, I think is really gonna. If it goes 7-2, that's gonna hurt them too, because they're gonna really expend a lot of energy, a lot of they'll probably have some guys get injured. You remember when the Leafs last year lost Tavares right in the first game, whatever.
And that's part of their problem though, is the injuries and stuff that come out of the games, but. Sometimes I feel like they get so comfortable now that they got into the playoffs and they lost their momentum once they got into everything. Yeah, so I don't. Slight spoiler. I don't see Tampa three-peating, no. But I also and I don't want them to. And then they're annoying with the Tampa Bay stuff with the Rays won the division and the Rays went to the World Series and the Tampa and the Bucks won the Super Bowl and they're Brady and they're great. And all this, all that's annoying, super annoying. And if they're not gonna three-peat. I don't see it. No. That being said, Toronto always chokes in the playoffs too. So something's got to give. Someone's gonna. I don't want to say. Well, the Leafs can surprise us, or Tampa can surprise us in the opposite way.
Yeah.
The Leafs can surprise us and win. Tampa can surprise us and do terrible and lose. Like that's my.
Yeah, but I said I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me either way if either team won. Like I wasn't like, oh my, I'm not planting my flag like Tampa's winning this.
Yeah. No, I know. I still feel surprised though because of Toronto's history of just
Sure.
crapping out in the first round.
They are the higher seed, and they are maybe even the better team. But like you said, Tampa has experience in a positive way, as well as Toronto has experience in a negative way.
Yeah.
But I said I can see both. It wouldn't surprise me really if either team won this. You know, if it goes 7, if it goes 6, I think it's probably gonna go at least 6. But I can't. I can see either team winning. It wouldn't shock me if either team won.
Yeah. No. This one I wouldn't be shocked about. No.
Cool. Let's go and talk about the other one and wild card matchup. That would be who?
Hurricanes and Bruins.
Yeah. So what about this one?
This one we also didn't agree on initially, but we went with the Hurricanes. To me, as much as I don't want to recognize the Bruins as a good team, they have been in the past, but I just feel like the Hurricanes are kind of, I guess, not... Well, they're in the same spot as the Avalanche. They just remind me of the Avalanche in that, I don't know, gritty, making it into the first round, probably into the second round, but... I guess for the Bruins, I don't think are the better team, even obviously being 7th. But
yeah, they're obviously the first wild card and everything like that. For me, I almost see it the opposite way of you. Almost exactly, almost completely the opposite way of you. Which is interesting. I think the Bruins are the team that are like, they're in the playoffs every year. They're not always the best team, but they always find. I mean, they said they went to the Cup Finals and forced Game 7 against the Blues a couple years ago, right? That was only a few years ago, 3 years ago maybe, and they were right there. And then the Lightning won 2 in a row, But the Bruins have been, they haven't been. They were close to winning a cup. They're always in the playoffs. They always win a couple rounds. They always play the Toronto in the first round, so they win a couple rounds. But they always win a couple rounds. They're always, at least in the conference finals or in semis, they're always kind of right around it. And they're not even that great, but they find a way, especially in the playoffs. They seem to turn it on in the playoffs. Whereas the Canes are probably, I would say, head and shoulders better of a team than the Bruins. But the Canes they've gone decent far. I think a couple years ago went to the Final Four. I think the same year. I think they went to the Final Four against the Bruins. The Bruins beat them to go to the finals. But they've been kind of right around it with Sebastian Aho and some of the other great players they've got. They're really a solid team. But again, I never really take them seriously as like a contender either.
Well, no, I don't take them seriously either. And I was gonna say, don't have another grudge against this team either.
Very much do. Very much so. I mean, 06, the Sabres team who came out of nowhere, they weren't supposed to be good. They ended up going deep in the playoffs, went to the conference finals. We're down to their 7th string defenseman and lost on the right call on a bad rule. That's still a bad rule to this day. And their 7th string defenseman, got injured and they in the game and they lost, in a close game, and it was and then the Canes wanted to win the cup against a terrible Oilers team, and all Buffalo had to do is survive that round. They won the cup easily. And then they had a banner raising ceremony in Carolina. Nobody was there because they had a freaking NASCAR race or something that day. Like, it's just idiotic, pointless.
That one hurts. Yeah, that one was bad.
Yeah, so screw them. But
they're the better team. But they're the
better team. But screw them. But I still think the Canes are gonna get past the Bruins. I think it's gonna be a close series. I do. Yeah. I don't think the Canes will run away with it because the Bruins are gritty.
Well, and I guess I was kind of saying I was meaning what you were saying. I guess I said it in a different way. The Hurricanes, I feel like I can't take them seriously, I guess, but the Bruins, yeah. I will always recognize the Bruins as a better team than them,
right?
Because I can take them more seriously than the Hurricanes.
It's like one of those things. I guess it's a thing. If you're a casual hockey fan, you're like, okay, who's in the playoffs? Rangers, Capitals, Bruins, Hurricanes are the best team. Wait, what? Panthers are the best team. Wait, what? Mm-hmm. It's like you just if you ask a casual hockey fan who's good in the NHL, they can name a few of the teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they can't name the fact that the Panthers are the best team and the fact that the Hurricanes are the best team. They just wouldn't get that.
I mean, it still surprises me though.
Right, for sure. That's what I mean, and that's what I'm saying. It's you can pick out, if you said who just randomly put teams that you knew on the board. It's like they'll put probably the playoffs. You wouldn't think that the Canes would be one of those teams.
I know, but I feel like even, you said casual fan. I feel like even if I watched all the time, I would still just not be able to recognize them as that, just because of how it's always been watching hockey for me.
And it's true. And guess what? They probably always will be that until they prove otherwise.
Well, yeah, until they start winning something, win the cup, then I'll say something different. But
and I said the Jackets are the same way to me. For me, they're and I grew up always watching the Devils and the Red Wings being really good, and they haven't been in the last couple years.
The Devils seriously at all either.
All right.
But I love Lindy Ruff. Miss you, Lindy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, Lindy was a good coach for the Sabres. I just, I think he overlived his stay a little bit.
I mean, he did, but who can hate Lindy being a Buffalo fan?
You can't. Definitely can't. So let's go ahead and talk about the final matchup in the East. And one thing I want to mention, too, it's been, I think the last Canadian team to win the cup was like 92, 93.
Yeah.
Which was the Rangers.
Yeah.
Or I'm saying the Rangers. Jeez. The Canadians. And I mean, the Canucks won a couple times. The Flames went once. I think the Flames went against the Lightning when Lightning won in 2003. I think they beat I want to say they beat the Lightning beat them, and then 2006 on the lockout the next year the Canadiens beat the Oilers, and then the Bruins when they won they beat the Canucks. The Rangers beat the Canucks. In the 90s, so a lot of Canadian teams have been around the cup. They haven't won. Obviously, last year, the terrible Canadiens team got smoked by the Lightning. But
yeah, everybody was really. I expected the Canadiens to actually win that. I think I don't remember.
No, I thought the Lightning would kill them, but I thought the Canadiens would actually be somewhat decent. They were the worst team in the league this year.
Or maybe it was who Dallas was playing. I don't know. I can't remember last year that much.
Yeah, it was a weird season.
Some stuff out.
It was a weird season. They had the playoffs were modified, and so the Canadian teams didn't have to play anybody, and that's the only reason the Canadian team made the playoffs, made the cup finals, because they had to get to play each other in the first two rounds. But yeah, so the last team to win it, the last Canadian team to win a cup was '93, and the Canadians, and
before that, it was the 1990 Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, with Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't won. A Canadian team hasn't won the cup in almost 30 years.
Getting there, yeah.
Which is crazy. And next year will be 30 if they don't win it next year.
Yep.
And there's now more teams than there were then because the Jets are back. So there's 7 Canadian teams, only 3 made the playoffs this year, which is crazy. So their odds are not forever in their favor. I said, though, if a Canadian team's going to win it, I'm fine with the Flames. I'm fine with the Jets. That's about it.
Fine with the Oilers.
No.
You don't like them, but I
absolutely
don't
not.
mind them.
I hate them because they have all their first overall picks they've had, and they haven't done shit with them. So.
I know. We can talk about that.
And they stole
day,
They stole McDavid from the Sabres.
I know.
Anyways.
Doesn't matter really. But anyways.
The final matchup in the East is
the Rangers versus the Penguins.
The 2 Rangers versus the 3 Penguins, yes. And this one was tough for me as well.
Yeah, I struggled a little bit with this one too, but so here's the funny thing. I keep saying I always recognize, a certain team's always going to be bad and I'm not going to recognize them as good. And I would say that for the Rangers, but I don't have that against them. Like, I believe them that they're good now. Yeah. I don't know. They're like one team. I don't want to because they're another New York team and whatever, but I can believe that they're finally doing better than they did before. New York too. Yeah, they do actually play New York.
They play in MSG.
Calling you out, Giants and Jets, but anyways.
Exactly. And so I agree. And the Penguins are the opposite of that. The Penguins are always perennially good. They're always.
I mean, they're good when they shouldn't be good, and when they pull it off when they shouldn't win. So that I don't like that.
I mean, they won back-to-back cups and went in 15 and 16 or 16 and 17, whatever it was. And then they won the one when Crosby was young. Yeah. So they won 3 in the last 15 years, whatever it was.
Yep, they won. I can tell you. I pulled it up. 2017, 2016, and 2009.
9, yeah. So, and obviously they went with Crosby, and they're still young. Obviously, they're still good. Crosby and them, Malkin and them are getting older. So they're getting close to the end of their prime.
With Mr. Dan Bylsma also for 2009.
Yep. Yeah, he was their coach. Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, I said they were the Penguins have been kind of thrown in the side for a lot of the teams in the East for a while.
Yes.
And we're kind of sick of them as well here.
Yes.
But they've won 3 since 2009, and they're still a team you can't really look past. But this is a very interesting storyline for this particular round because it's the young Rangers, the upstart Rangers versus the veteran, experienced Penguins.
Right.
So the only one who's really not experienced on the Penguins is their goalie. No more Fleury, right? But other than that, they are still still got Crosby, still got Malkin, still got Russ, still got Letang, still got Gensel. So they're still
Crosby.
Right. They're still a solid team. What do you think?
So, the Rangers is what I think. Is what I hope.
Yeah.
But I do think that they could do it. I think the Penguins, even as experienced as they are, it might not work out for them since they've got younger guys that maybe want it more.
On the Rangers.
On the Rangers, yeah.
Yeah, and the Rangers, the Rangers were a team, when they had Lundqvist, Hendrik Lundqvist, they were always right in the playoffs every year. Until recently, like the last 5 years, they weren't. But they were, they went to the Cup Finals against they were the one team who they played the Lightning, or not the Lightning, the Kings in 14 or 13.
Rangers.
The Rangers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a chance. They got smoked, but they they went to the finals.
Right.
And and then that was end of the Lundqvist reign, and then they kind of rebuilt a little bit. Now they're kind of back. So the Rangers, they in the 90s they were one of the best teams, and even before that they were one of the best teams. The Gretzkys and all that. So they were a team to beat with Marc Messier. I mean they were awesome.
And I guess that's why it's not hard to think that they can be good again because of their history. It'd just be like the Red Wings or something, coming back finally.
Yeah. And
after all these years.
Oh, right. And the Islanders were good for a few years, and the Rangers were bad. Now the Rangers are good, and the Islanders are bad. It's just kind of weird.
Right.
I would have, if you would have said throw a dart at the board and pick a team who's going to make the playoffs, I would have definitely said the Islanders will make it. And they didn't, so kind of crazy.
I don't know. Now I'm on the train of the Islanders suck, so and they do.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine, and they can suck forever.
Yeah, that's fine.
But the Rangers, I think the Rangers can do it. I think it's another, again, the thing I'm really liking this year though. I think there's gonna be a lot of long series, a lot of 6-7 game series.
Yeah, I don't think much of it is gonna be easy. I mean, no one's gonna go away with or run
away with it. No, I don't think the East is gonna run away with it. Yeah. The only series I think maybe the Flames and the Avs will be short series. I think everything else will be long series. I think
the Preds and the Avs.
I mean the Avs win and the Flames will win. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I still don't think anybody's gonna go out in 4 though. I think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna be a sweep.
It could do very. I mean, it's back a couple years ago in the NBA, the first 2 rounds were sweeps. Always if you were a top team. And if you're really a 1 or 2 seed and you lost a game in the first 2 rounds, you sucked. In NBA. And hockey was always the 1 could lose to the 8, and it was legitimate, and this year I feel like even more so. I mean, I think the couple teams in the West are pretty stacked, but other than that, I think it could be really, really interesting.
Maybe the Avs can run away with it. I would like to see the Predators win a game, but the Avs probably could run away with it.
Yeah, like you said, a sweep maybe isn't likely, but either way, I think it's gonna be really. I think it's gonna be some really good series, which is really the best thing for hockey is having some good series.
Yeah,
for sure. And and also I mentioned too, ESPN has some games, TBS has some games. TBS I like. I like the TBS. I like how they do it. They have some interesting graphics and everything. ESPN just doesn't know hockey, and they never really will.
You don't like ESPN overall, but
I hate ESPN. But their priorities are hockey's 10th on their priority list.
Yeah.
Below
probably
curling.
Not. It's an asterisk at the bottom of their priority list.
Oh yeah, no, it's I mean below basketball, politics, football, college sports, baseball, tennis, golf, swimming.
Curling.
Badminton. Exactly.
Pickleball.
Yeah.
Cornhole.
Tetherball.
Yep.
Cornhole.
And then an asterisk. Oh, I forgot about hockey.
Darts. Pool.
Shuffleboard.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Exactly. Then hockey. So forgive me if I don't think ESPN should do hockey. They don't know hockey from anything else. So. But anyways, but TBS has done a pretty good job. So I'll say that. And then also I want to say off the top, thank you, Hockey Night in Canada, for letting me using your intro for this show, because they still do the best of anybody. I don't care what anybody says. They're the best announcers. They're the best broadcast. They're fun. Just bring back Don Cherry, please. Bring back Don Cherry. Okay, he said some silly things. Who cares? Bring him back.
Wasn't Doc a part of Hockey Night in Canada?
No,
Okay,
thank God, no.
fine.
They were way smarter than the entire Doc Emmerich.
Okay, got it.
He did NBC.
Oh yeah. That's right.
All right. So, anyways, let's go ahead and let's go back to the West. So round 2 then would be the Avs and the Blues, right, Jessica?
Yes, that is correct.
What do you think about that?
I think the Avs. I don't think that one was a hard decision for me, even though I know the Blues are good. O'Reilly, loved him as a Sabre, miss him. But I think the Avs are too good to get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, they are another team that they always are one of the best teams, and they somehow find a way to screw it up. So I think if they do screw it up, I think the Blues could win the whole thing. But I think that the Avs are super, super strong, and as long as they stay out of their own way, they should be good.
I don't want to repeat if they get to, the end and then they screw it up. But
right, no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, I agree. Then the other matchup in the West, unless you want to have anything else to say about that.
No, I think it's good.
Kings versus Flames. Obviously, the Kings being the lower seed, the Flames being the higher seed. What do you got?
So I think we dabbled on this one too, but the Flames, the Kings have been good for a while, but I still think that the Flames can overtake them in this round.
The Flames will grow higher.
Yeah. And the flames went high.
Exactly.
And it burns, burns, burns.
The Kings of Fire.
The ring of fire. The Kings of Fire. Huh?
Exactly.
The Kings on fire.
Exactly. I think, and yes, the only reason I feel this way about the Flames and the Kings again are a team who they won 2 cups in 5 years, but that was a while ago. They
don't have the same team.
They don't have the same team. They have the same goalie.
Yeah.
But they don't have the same team, and it's a very different team. They're still good. I still like the Kings. They still, again, there's a handful of teams I could see winning the whole thing. They're probably 6 or 7 teams. It reminds me a lot of when the Blues won it, because there's nobody who's like, oh my God, they're definitely going to win this season. Especially if a couple of the top teams get knocked out.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, no, maybe this team can. Maybe this. There's like 6 or 7 teams I can see maybe winning it. And the Blue and even the Kings are one of those teams, because again they've done it. They've been there.
I know, but the thing about that is, since it was so long ago that the Kings have won, they get back into the train of, to me, they're not that great. They haven't really been out there as much. Did they even make it last year?
Oh no, they made that for years.
So it's like, I think they're just getting back into the swing of things, and I don't think that it's their time yet.
No, I 100% agree with you. 100%
to get far.
And that's why I think the Flames will handle them.
Yeah.
But I said if somehow the Flames get knocked out in the first round or something crazy happens,
right?
Then I can see the Kings being the new favorite.
Well, right. If we're gonna talk the Flames get knocked out and it's Kings versus Stars, I'd definitely pick the Kings over the Stars. So yeah,
for sure.
But,
and if the Avalanche get knocked out too, now it's Blues and Kings. I think Kings can even beat them.
Yeah.
But I think Blues would probably win that. But
I think Blues win too. But we're just staying to our track here.
Right.
What we have.
Right. So
many directions.
So that's Avs over Blues.
Yep.
And Kings over
Flames
over Kings. Right. So Avs over Blues, Flames over Kings. So the 2 number 1s going to the finals for the Western Conference.
Yeah.
So that's what we got. Okay. I'm cool with that. Let's go ahead and talk about back in the East now for the conference semis. It was the Caps who beat the Panthers, and now the Lightning who beat the Leafs.
Yes.
What do we got there?
So Caps against the Lightning, and we went with the Lightning because the Capitals may have finally won a Stanley Cup playoff, but I don't feel a different team enough where they can get through the first round, and then they're going to crap out. That's usually what happens.
And they just snuck in, and they have a better team than that. I mean, really, with the TJ Oshie, with Ovechkin,
I know,
with Kuznetsov, they are still a really, really good team. And the Lightning are a tough team too. That's why I said I can see really anybody coming out of the East. There's really nobody coming out of the East to be like, oh my God, I'm shocked.
I don't want to say coaching, but I mean the Capitals don't have the same coach they had when they finally made it to the playoffs. However, they had him for a while before they won the Stanley Cup as well. So it's hard to say for me. I don't know. Just thinking about that. Yeah,
I said the top half of the Eastern bracket was really tough for me. But
Yeah, no, it's tough.
I'll say Lightning will pull it off. I don't know. They could easily be knocked out of the first round though too.
Yeah, Caps against Lightning. I recognize them as some pretty solid teams, so it's hard. I wouldn't be surprised with either one, but I think the Lightning can do it, unfortunately. Fortunately, I guess.
Yeah, either way. Let's go ahead and then talk to the other round then. Let's see if anything else to add to that.
No.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Canes versus the Rangers. So the Canes beat the Bruins. Rangers beat the Penguins. So the 1 against the 2. What do you got there?
The Canes.
Yeah.
Now that you pointed out how we picked both number ones on the other side, I'm not sure how accurate we're going to be. It seems unlikely that a lot of the number ones are going to make it through.
True.
However, you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, the Hurricanes over the Rangers. Even with this one, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers went over the Hurricanes too. But
no, for sure.
I don't know.
I think the Canes. Unfortunately, the Canes are the best team in the East.
Yeah.
I think they're better than the Panthers. I think the Canes are the best team in the East. I really, really do.
Well, yeah.
You know, even the Panthers are number 1 and Canes are number 2, whatever. I still think that the Canes are the best team in the East. Their goaltending is a little bit up in the air, but they're really solid. They have a really, really good overall team.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they did really well.
Yeah.
I feel like the Bruins Canes matchup could probably go to the finals, the Cup finals. I really do.
Bruins versus the Canes.
Whoever wins that one could go to the finals. I think.
Yeah.
I think they're this. I think those are the 2 best teams. But
yeah,
the East is so tough.
Right.
So we have that final we had the number 1 seeded, or number 2 as 2 overall, but number 1 in the division, Hurricanes versus number 3 Lightning.
Yep.
In that conference final.
Yep.
Let's go back to the West. Conference finals in the West. We have the Avalanche is the 1 versus the 2 Flames. What do you got there?
The Avalanche.
Yes. Anything to add to that?
I think the Avalanche is going to continue avalanching down to the Stanley Cup Finals.
There you go. So the Avalanche cascades down to the finals.
Exactly.
And they waddle their way down.
They're riding that snow.
Indeed. So let's go with the Avalanche as well. I can definitely get on board with that.
Yeah.
But again, Flames wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, they're very good defensively.
I might be a little surprised, but just because of the Avalanche being the Avalanche, I guess I wouldn't be surprised.
And that's why. I don't think the Flames. I put it this way. I think if the Avalanche and the Flames meet in the finals, in the conference finals,
anybody's game.
I think the Avalanche will win. I think the Flames get there if somebody else knocks the Avalanche out. I think if the Avalanche, if the Avalanche are there in the conference finals, they win the conference finals.
Yeah.
I think they're better than the Flames. But I think if somebody else knocks out the Avalanche, the Flames will roll through.
Yeah, I could probably agree with that.
So let's go ahead and talk about the Eastern Conference Finals now, which is, believe it or not, the natural disaster finals. Or whatever.
Lightning versus the Hurricanes.
Because there are lightning during hurricane.
They do come together, so yeah, they do mesh together.
So Eastern Conference Finals, 2 Southern teams, which is like... against 2, and the other side 2 northern teams, Colorado and Calgary.
So for this one, we have selected Buffalo had selected in the 6th round. I'm kidding. So this one we also picked the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
We picked the number, I guess 2, right?
Yeah. 2 overall, number 1.
2 overall, yeah. So that one for me was kind of tough. I don't know if I picked it because I don't want the Lightning to make it to the end again, but I still think that the Hurricanes can overtake the Lightning because they, Lightning can sometimes get sloppy towards the end too, and then it's all it takes is just a couple things to mess up the whole, shebang, if you will.
And I think the Lightning are going to go through hell to get there.
Yeah.
And I think they should be too beaten up.
I don't think it's going to be easy road. Like we said, if it goes to Lightning versus Caps like we predicted, I mean, the Capitals are going to give them a run for their money. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I think they're going to be beat up against the Leafs. Mm-hmm. If they get through the Leafs, they're going to be beat up by the Panthers or the Caps. Yeah. If they get through that, I think they're going to be run over by whoever's left.
Yeah, I can agree. With
I think the top half of that bracket is just so impossible.
Yeah.
So our Cup finals now are the Canes versus the Avalanche, Jessica.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Isn't that exciting?
It's exciting.
You want to say anything else?
It is another natural disaster.
A hurricane.
It is hurricane and then an avalanche.
An avalanche,
there you go.
Indeed.
It's the Stanley Cup Natural Disaster Playoffs.
Yes, indeed. And the Flames, Flames getting fire, burning stuff,
And it burns.
The Chicago Fire, or in the, a fire can be a natural disaster as well. So
and the
Flames.
Oilers spilling of oil and everything.
Okay, now we're getting But the final four, though, at least, are four kind of natural disasters. That's exciting.
It is, yep.
So, anything you want to say about the Avalanche versus the Canes?
So, I guess who I hope to win is the Avalanche. I agree with you for your pick from last year. I'm rooting for them this year. Just because of how it's been for them the past couple years, how they've gotten so close and haven't been able to pull it off yet. I would have preferred because of also our history with the Hurricanes, but I think it's going to be two good teams against each other. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to at least go to 6. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 7. But, go Avalanche on this one.
Yeah, for sure. And I hope they do too. Like I said, we'll see how it goes. I really think, though, it's going to come down to the two best teams. And if there's something crazy that happens like that, I could see that. I could see, a couple of the ones that get knocked out early, and now it's like who, it's like again, when it was the Blues and Bruins, I keep going back to that one, because that one was like, who's going to win this?
That's why it's so hard. Like, I like to do the predictions and stuff, how we do this, but it's just so hard because you can never know. It's one bad move by somebody and the whole thing's
one guy gets injured, goal gets hurt.
All it has to be. One freaking goal gets knocked in, and, that can change everything.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. And so we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely excited about it. And, what I said, there's been some times where it's like, okay, this team's really good, they're going to run it, and they're going to win. And there's other times where like, okay, this team is not that good, but somehow they're there.
Yeah.
And like I said, that Bruins and Blues, I think it was Stars versus Blues, and then it was Hurricanes versus Bruins. And it's like in the final four.
I think so.
Yeah, and it's like, God, I hate the Stars for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I hate the Canes for obvious reasons. I don't really have much love for Boston, and at least the hockey team. And the Blues have Ryan O'Reilly, and they're not even that good, but somehow they're here because they have a rookie goalie who's standing on his head. Yeah. And so then there's Lightning rolling teams for 2 years. So it's like the Lightning has been kind of easy the last few years. So it's like, what are we going to have? Are we going to have a team who's like an elite team who just rolls everybody? Or are we going to have the elite teams get knocked out, and now it's like these teams who are kind of middle of the pack who are rising up to take the thing.
Yeah.
That's the best part of the hockey. The best part of hockey is the playoffs. And there's really nothing better in sports.
Because it's intense. People are actually busting their butts instead of kind of just skating along, and everybody wants it. Most people are trying for it.
Oh, there's nothing better than overtime in hockey in the playoffs.
I guess overtime is just...
It's stressful and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's all. But I hope the Avalanche win it. I feel good about them. But again, anything can happen. So anything else to add, Jessica?
No, I'm looking forward to a good finals or a good playoff season, and we'll see what happens.
Yep, a couple more months of hockey, and we'll be good to go. And I said I'm looking forward to the Sabres being there next year. I said my goal for a long time is I want my Sabres to play until about a month before Bills season. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Sabres play till mid to late June. Bills have preseason in August. Sounds good to me.
Or, Buffalo can just get a baseball team, and then we'd have sports all year round for you. Man, I don't know what you would do.
You would not see me ever.
I would be strangling you. Probably.
Yeah, no doubt. You just said on a podcast.
I know. Just kidding. Just in jest. Just joking.
Just in jest.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed. Anything else to add, Jessica?
I don't think so.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being a part of the show. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Like our Facebook page, Pavement Road Productions on Facebook. Email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe. Share the post. Tell our friends, hockey fans out there. Share the post. Let us know what else you want us to talk about. We had some people suggest this, so I really like that. This suggestion, obviously, so we went with it. And obviously baseball. We'll do some NFL stuff maybe in the next few months as well. Then obviously keep the news and other reality TV stuff coming out as well. The reality TV's only got another couple weeks left, and then we'll have a break from that for a while. I know. And then I'll have more time for maybe sports and news and other stuff to talk about. So either way, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Anything else to add, Jessica?
I don't think so.
Okay, great.
because the tripod spoke.
Other than that, thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of the show, and we'll talk to you next time.
Au revoir.